Well, I went and did it. I bought another rack preamp. You guys have seen the title. Let's hear it really quick. Now, I bought a Triaxis about 18 months ago and thought that was going to be the end of my Mesa Mark series style tone journey. And as soon as I put up a demo video with that thing, I got a bunch of people telling me that I really need to check out a studio or a quad preamp if I want to get that Mark II sort of tone, which immediately reignited the gas that I thought the Triaxis had quenched. Then, a couple of months ago, I tried a Mark IV in my studio, and I loved it. It's one of the greatest amps I've ever played in my life. But if I was going to buy one, realistically, I'd only want it for that one sound, that thing that the Mark series is so well known for. Then, my good friend and friend of the channel, Mr. Troy Nababan, sends me a message about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, and it happened, and it's here. So let's open it up, look in its guts, and then let's twist some knobs and pull some levers and have a listen to what this studio preamp sounds like. The previous owner did warn me that there were some scratchy pots, so I've opened it up, and I figure while I've opened it up, let's take a quick look at the guts. The scratchy pots were really easy to fix with some deoxit. Now there are no scratchy pots, so I'm really happy about that. I also noticed that the reverb tank was kind of rattling around a little bit, so let's take a close-up look at that, and it's mounted in a kind of curious and interesting way. There are these springs, there's a springs for the spring reverb, but then there's these little springs that go through some holes in the chassis to kind of hold it together, which is interesting. I would have expected it to be screwed down or something like that. I wonder what the rationale was there, but this is just going to be mounted in my studio, so that's no biggie. One of the springs was loose, so I had to kind of re-thread it, and that was the hardest part of the whole process. And then we've got the board. It's also traveled cross-country, so a few of the tubes were a little bit loose in their sockets. And look at those big, thick orange caps on there. They are beautiful. Transformer over here. I mean, it's pretty unremarkable, right? It's a preamp. It's a really cool preamp, but that is what's going on in the innards. Let me see if I can get around here and show you the back of something like the graphic EQ and what's going on there, because I've always wanted to look at these. So I wish you guys could see how I'm holding this camera at the moment. It's so awkward. I should have just turned the preamp around. But yeah, that is what is going on in the guts of a Mesa Studio preamp. Let's begin. Rather than go through this methodically, I'm just going to start with a tone. I'm on the lead channel, the fat's off, the bright's off. Hopefully you can see the controls, but essentially classic Mark series style thing. Bass and middle really low, treble cranked. I've got a V shape on the EQ, and I am on the lead channel with the lead drive all the way up and the volume at about halfway. I am on position 4 on my custom 24, which is, I always forget, it's either the outer coils in parallel or the inner coils in parallel. But this is what we've got. That feels so good to play. A lot of the time I find playing standalone preamps into power amps isn't quite the same as using a head. Like there's a very particular feel you get when you plug in a really great head like a Mark series amp or a Soldano or something like that This has got that feel going on, which is very, very impressive. And you can hear that it's doing the thing with the volume control. It's not overly compressed or saturated, so that you can actually clean it up really nicely. All right, same settings, but I'm going to go to the bridge humbucker. I've got my tone control about halfway down because this guitar is pretty bright, but I'm going to turn that up for the bridge humbucker, so we get this. Apologies for butchering that loudness riff at the end there, but pretty cool stuff, right? That is with the bright switch off on the lead channel. Let's turn it on. Oh, this is nice. This is giving me the same kind of feeling I was getting when I was playing that Mark IV. I'm going to turn the fat switch on now. This is kind of going to give me a different mid-range character for lead stuff. Now you notice I haven't played around with this graphic EQ yet. If I pull up that 750 fader, it's going to give me way more mid-range. It's pretty crazy. Let's hear that. And if I turn this lead drive down, there's some pretty good mid-gain tones in here. Let's hear that down about halfway. That's really, really nice. I dig that. Let's hear the reverb as well, because this has an awesome spring reverb on it. I'm going to kind of, you can hear it's adding a little bit of noise in there, but I'm going to turn it up quite a bit. I like it. I like it, if you couldn't already tell by the stankiness of my face. The 240 slider and the 750 slider I find are the really big ones on the graphic EQ. The 750, obviously, if you pull it all the way out, crank the gain, it's kind of scooped metal territory. But that 240 slider, if you give it a bit too much, it gets a bit too honky, like this. If you take out too much, it kind of loses body and character. So I find that's actually the hardest one to balance out and dial in. Where did I have it before? Somewhere around here. Alrighty, let's hear the clean channel, and then we're going to hear insane amounts of gain, because I know you all want to hear this thing just absolutely chugging and screaming, and I haven't really done that just yet. So let's go to the clean channel, or the rhythm channel as it's called. And I guess one of the drawbacks with this design is you get that lead channel dialed in, and the clean channel shares the EQ and the controls. I've got the EQ three-way switch on auto, so it's actually off on the rhythm channel and it's on the lead channel, which is a pretty cool feature. You can hear it's really, really clean and really, really bright. So what I would do there, if I was just using this for a clean sound, I kind of like the cleanness of it. I'm going to turn the bright switch off, add some bass, and add some middle. And we kind of get and I'll bring a little bit of treble out. It's very Fender-y, for use of a better term. I like the bright switch on with this kind of mode, but you can hear it's super, super clean. I dig it actually on the humbucker mode there. It's probably a little bit kind of too twangy on those single coil modes. I mean, I guess I could turn the treble down and the mid-range and the bass up. That is pretty cool. Very, very cool. Let me play something and I'll add some delay and some chorus in post. So this is kind of going to be weird because I'm not going to hear it at the moment. But yeah, I'll apply it in post just so you can hear it all in stereo and kind of get a little bit of a feel for that kind of 80s clean thing this does so well. I like that on its own as it is. So thanks to the magic of television, hopefully you heard that with a whole bunch of 80s style time bass effects. Let's go back to the lead mode, because now my lead sound isn't where it was. I mean, that's kind of cool. It's just a little bit too smooth for the sort of thing that I like. So let's go insane with the gain now. I'm going to grab my single cut, which is in drop C, and let's really go for it now. This is what you've all been waiting for, isn't it? So I'm going to turn the fat switch off, and I'm going to bring all the bass out and most of the middle. And apologies for my giant 5 head right in your face there. I'm going to leave the graphic where it is, and then we'll kind of slowly dial it in as we go. But lead drive all the way up, all the gain. Let's hear this thing. That's pretty awesome, pretty awesome. You can hear how powerful that 750 slider is. I think I should probably bump that a little bit, just a little bit, to give me a little bit less of an insane scoop. That's way better. All right, I'm just going to bump the treble a bit more. Gives me this. And again, remember the treble, the bass, and the mid, they're kind of like a three-way gain control. So cranking the treble here just really brings out some upper harmonics, which I like a lot, as you probably guessed. Now, let's have a listen to what the two highest sliders do, because that 6600 slider is really, really sensitive. And it's basically like your, in the words of John Petrucci, it's your mastering EQ control. I'll turn it all the way down and then up. You can see how sensitive that is. Literally just like bumping it the tiniest amount takes a bit of fizz out. I'd still bring it down a little bit more. I'm going to bump the 2200 a little bit more. Again, these are so sensitive. And then I would use the lowest two sliders to kind of dial in that low end. We already talked about 240. I like where 240's at. Let's have a listen to what 80 does. And that's with everything maxed with the fat switch on. That's a total overkill and a little bit, it kind of starts to fall apart there. So I think I like it with the fat off and the bright on and the V-shape, you know, like just the typical Mark series thing. That's why I bought this thing, because I didn't want to spend like $5,000 on a 2C plus, or, you know, 2 or 3, well, probably in Australia, probably over $3,000 on a Mark IV at the moment. I paid a lot less for this, and it's getting me close enough. It's getting me a little bit closer than the Tri-Axis, although that's something that I really should do a shootout with so that you can hear it. But yeah, to all those people who on all my Tri-Axis videos and Mark IV videos were like, you should try a studio preamp, thank you, because the studio preamp's awesome, and there's a whole bunch of range in there. There's some really good tones. It feels great to play, which I'm very, very impressed with. It's really, really well put together for something so old. I mean, it's basically, I cleaned the pots and it's been flawless so far. So fingers crossed it stays that way. It's got the graphic EQ on it, and it does the really super high gain chug-a-chug thing that I wanted out of it, which is really the one sound that I wanted it for. So yeah, and it plays nice with this guitar. What more can you ask for? I'm gonna play you guys out. Again, I will put maybe some delay in post-production on this one so I can play some lead stuff, and I'm gonna play you out. Thank you for watching the video. If you have questions or feedback, get them in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.